In May 2024, I visited Vietnam, starting in Ho Chi Minh City, the former Saigon, and gradually working my way to the north. In a number of locations like Cat Tien National Park, Da Nang, and Khao Kha, I searched for some of the country's endemic primates. Phong Nha Kebang National Park was at the halfway point of my journey. It is one of the world's largest karst regions with unique wildlife and hundreds of caves, among them the world's largest, and it has been designated a UNESCO World Heritage. But as usual in much of Vietnam, there is no escaping from the dark past. The road crossing the park is built on the former Ho Chi Minh Trail, which was used by the Northern Vietnam Army during the war. To expose the trail below the canopy, it was sprayed by the US military with Agent Orange, a highly toxic herbicide containing dioxin. Its use left a horrific legacy on humans and nature, and the reforestation of many defoliated areas has been impossible, as seen firsthand in Phong Nha. Still, some fantastic wildlife can be found. First and foremost, I was searching for Hatinh Langurs. These primates are difficult to spot, but thanks to my guide, we found a few individuals inside the national park. They were shy and kept their distance. We therefore tried our luck for better views in the area around Thiet Son, a typical Vietnamese village with friendly people and an ancestral temple a 2-hour drive from Phong Nha. It was easy to see on the drive why Hatinh Langurs are endangered. Not only are they hunted, but their habitat around the limestone forests in Vietnam and Laos is threatened everywhere. Outside the national parks, the forest is gone, other than on the steepest terrain. In an overpopulated world of more than 8 billion people, all accessible land is converted towards agricultural needs, with most species other than humans struggling. And in addition, the local concrete producing companies are destroying the limestone cliffs, taking away the last bits of remaining habitat. But in 2012, a retired soldier named Tu returned to Thiet Son village and was inspired by the Langurs. He worked with villagers to prevent further hunting and fought the concrete companies that threatened the forest as well as him personally. Today, he and a dozen local farmers patrol the forests, and the remaining area enjoys some degree of protection. Helped us find the Langurs. First, we saw only the monkey guard, who is always keeping an eye on the surroundings to protect the group, which typically averages around 8 animals. But after a while, we had some good looks at the other members of the flock, part of the around 180 Hatinh Langurs in this area. They were feeding and moving with ease between the limestone cliffs before taking a rest. Of the primate species in Vietnam are down to several hundreds, or even less. Vietnam is taking their protection serious now, but at numbers as low as these, the risk of extinction is always just around the corner. Back in Phong Nha Kebang, we found a rhesus macaque, which is the only monkey left in the greater Mekong area that is not endangered. Also able to observe a few birds, such as an Asian fairy bluebird and a sultan tit that was picking the poisonous hair of a caterpillar before eating it, as well as a hawk eagle being mobbed by a drongo. After a few days focused on wildlife, I visited Paradise Cave. As carvings in some of Phong Nha's caves show, they were known as early as the 9th century, and new ones are still being discovered. Paradise Cave was first located by a local in 2005, and it was explored by a team of the British Cave Research Association in the same year. It is known for its spectacular stalactites and stalagmites. Only the first kilometer of a total length of 31 kilometers is accessible by walkways. Beyond that, a guided trip is required. And this is exactly what I was planning to do in order to visit Hang Son Doong, the largest cave in the world with a total volume of 38.5 million cubic meters over a length of 9 kilometers. On a morning when the fog was gradually giving way to sunshine, I joined a 4-day trip to traverse the cave. A local company called Oxalis is the only party offering such tours. I was part of a group of 10, supported by guides and porters. The first day was an easy hike of 11 kilometers, fording multiple little streams before entering Hang Eng Cave, which has to be crossed to get to Son Doong. Hang Eng is itself the third largest cave in the world in terms of volume, and our first campsite was stunning. We reached it by float, with the swifts nesting close to the giant opening, providing constant background noise. We hiked up to a viewpoint which revealed the enormity of the cave. A spectacular scene unfolded when we watched the sun gradually illuminating the huge opening. We eventually set off in the opposite direction on easy ground, walking towards another entrance point. Once we got closer and left the darkest parts of the interior of the cave, plant life started to appear. Opening, another nesting place for swifts. They were drinking from a river that we followed for 2 hours. river vanished under a huge cliff, and we would later see it again in Son Doong, which translates from Vietnamese as the cave of the mountain river. The entrance to the cave was hidden. It required us to take an uphill trail followed by a downhill climb before finally upseiling into Son Doong. As noted by an inscription near the entrance, the cave was found in 1990 by a local man named Ho Kan when seeking shelter. Although Ho initially went to investigate further, he was discouraged upon approach by the sound of rushing water. Not thinking it to be of any great importance, by the time he returned to his home, he had forgotten the exact location of the entrance. Years later, Ho mentioned his discovery to some British cave explorers. They asked him to rediscover the entrance, which he eventually managed to do in 2008, and in April 2009 he led an expedition to the entrance. While the entrance to Son Doong is relatively small, the scale soon became evident once I had descended to the cave's floor into the so-called Hope and Vision passage. It is one of the largest sections of Son Doong. A 40-story skyscraper can easily fit in this passage, and it is sizable enough for a Boeing 747 to fly through. Moreover, the world's tallest stalagmite of about 80 meters is located here. The underground river inside resulted in some waist-deep water that needed to be crossed, and in close to 100% humidity, it felt like walking in clouds, with the mist weaving through the beams of our lights. From the cave entrance, it is 1.5 kilometers to Doline 1, an area where the ceiling of the cave has collapsed. The faint, bluish light of the Doline in the background makes for some spectacular photography. The underground river acts like a thermostat. During the hottest month of the year, the difference between the temperature inside and outside and the river's water vapor create a cloud system, resulting in the campground near Doline 1 being truly immemorable. An easy down climb from the campsite, we visited an area with fossilized tetracorals and crinoid sea lilies more than 300 million years old.
If you look all around the wall, then you can see the fossil everywhere. Yeah, everywhere around.
The river disappears near Doline 1, but it has created an underground pool that made for a bit of a claustrophobic but very refreshing swim.
After the long day hiking, this is the best spot you want to be. Refreshing! Woo!
The next morning, our porters transporting tents and food started early, and we gradually followed them on the climb up to the inner area of Doline 1, stopping at some circular rock features that make for fun pictures. One is the result of a very tall cave passage being formed by the underground river. The thin layers of limestone at the top ultimately collapsed, leaving a long, narrow hole in the roof. The distance to the river at the bottom of the cave is an astonishing 450 meters. Inside the Doline there is a large stalagmite composed of calcite. It has a flat surface due to the regular waterfalls on top, and it is aptly called the wedding cake. It has become a standard shot for visitors who love to pose on top for a memorable but definitely no longer a unique photo. Spectacular sunbeams illuminate the cave from around 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on sunny days. Together with the ever-moving mist, they create a scene that is like nowhere else and provides one of the most iconic views in the cave, captured here in a time-lapse. Benefiting from the light, close by rare phytokarst formations have formed, where microscopic plants like algae can grow. 1 kilometer away we entered Doline 2, which has a much larger opening than Doline 1. As a result, a primeval forest is growing 200 meters deep inside the cave. It took us 30 minutes to cross in order to reach the camp on the other side. Here the whole team assembled for a group photo, showing the employment benefit tourism provides. And this is definitely needed, as there have been efforts in the past to build a cable car through the rainforest into the cave, which would come at a huge environmental cost and, at the same time, provide fewer jobs after completion of construction. The next and last morning inside the cave, we had some more stunning vistas to admire. And it is not just about the large geological features, but also the small things. We found cave pearls formed by water dripping from the ceiling that carries calcite carbonate. They come in many different sizes and shapes. There's life even inside the darkest corners of Son Doong, with the most interesting one I saw being the endemic blind fish only found in some caves of Phong Nha. Directly after the rainy season, when the floodwater inside the cave can rise up to 100 meters, the final passage of Son Doong is a lake that is navigated by boat. However, during my visit in May, the lake had drained out, leaving a muddy but simple to navigate area. It reminded the members of the British cave expedition of the movie about the Battle of Passchendaele in World War I, hence the name. Passchendaele Passage lies the Great Wall of Vietnam. The climb is easy as ladders are in place, followed by ropes, and the top is reached in minutes, as opposed to the 2 days it took the original explorers. In fact, during the initial expedition in 2009, this 90-meter-high rock wall blocked further progress, and the team had to return a year later with specialized equipment in order to finally accomplish the full traverse of the cave. Great Wall of Vietnam, it was another 500 meters to reach the exit of Son Doong. I lingered for a while, leaving the cave last to soak in the view of the clouds formed at the entrance, as it is a phenomenon I might never see again. Scrambling down easy stone slopes and a short walk brought us to the road, where the journey came to an end, and I said goodbye to the fantastic guides. In Phong Nha village, a beautiful last sunset awaited. The scenery of Son Doong is truly fantastic, and the organization of the trip was superb. Although around 1,000 tourists a year visit the cave, Oxalis as the organizer takes utmost care to keep campsites clean and requires visitors to stick to designated pathways. In my opinion, it is the right strategy, as money from tourism is the best guarantee to preserve the unique beauty of Son Doong.